Om. 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 Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Tam Namami Shrutismritipurananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punav Punaha Sadashivasamaramбhaं Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Vande Guru-paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। ॐ श्रीकृष्ण परमात्मने नमः। अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता चतुर्दशोऽध्यायः गुणत्रयविभागयोगः। श्रीभगवानुवाच परं भूयः प्रवक्ष्यामि ज्ञानानां ज्ञानमुत्तमं यज्ञात्वा मुनयः सर्वे परां सिद्धिमितो गताः। इदं ज्ञानमुपाश्रित्य मम साधर्म्यमागताः सर्गेऽपि नोपजायन्ते प्रलये न व्यथन्ति च। मम यो निर्महद्ब्रह्मा तस्मिन् गर्भं दधाम्यहम् सम्भवः सर्वभूतानां ततो भवति भारत। सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति याः तासां ब्रह्ममहद्योनिः अहं बीजप्रदः पिता। सत्त्वं रजस्तम इति गुणाः प्रकृतिसम्भवाः निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो देहे देहिनमव्ययम्। तत्र सत्त्वं निर्मलत्वात् प्रकाशकमनामयम् सुखसङ्घेन बध्नाति ज्ञानसङ्गेन चानघा। रजो रागात्मकं विद्धि तृष्णासङ्गसमुद्भवम् तन्निबध्नाति कौन्तेय कर्मसङ्गेन देहिनम्। तमस्त्वज्ञानजं विद्धि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः तन्निबध्नाति भारत सत्वं सुखे संजयति रजः कर्मणि भारत ज्ञानमावृत्य तु तमः प्रमादे संजयत्युत रजस्तमश्चाभिभूयः सत्वं भवति भारत रजसत्वं तमश्चैव तमः सत्वं रजस्तथा ओम तत्सत् give me a second huh? I think yesterday we completed 4 shlokas maybe. I will just read the introduction because on the YouTube we didn't capture the first 20 to 30 minutes or so. In order to make it complete, I will just read the introduction and maybe the first few verses once again. Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, the division of the 3 gunas. Introduction. The 14th chapter deals with the 3 gunas and the transcendence of them, which is moksha. Introducing this chapter, Shankara notes that anything that is created is due to the connection between the kshetra and the kshetrajna. Shankara notes that anything that is created is due to the connection between the kshetra and the kshetrajna. To show how this connection accounts for what we call the creation, Bhagavan begins the 14th chapter. Alternatively, Shankara says it is to address certain questions raised in the 13th chapter, particularly those raised in the 21st verse. There it was made clear that the kshetra and kshetrajna have the status of being the cause of creation and not an independent prakriti in the presence of Purusha as proposed by the Sankhyas. For them, Purushas are many, each different from the other and detached, asanga, from Prakriti. And Prakriti, which is independent of the Purusha, independently creates the world. So, this is the view of the Sankhyas. Whereas, we have already said that Purusha, however, is not remote, even though asanga, because he always obtains in the Prakriti. The apparent connection of Purusha to the Prakriti, comprising of gunas, which is due to avidya, is the cause of all samsara, including various types of births. Here, Shankara, introducing the chapter, raises the following questions. What are the gunas? How do they bind? How is the one to be released from them? What are the characteristics of the free person? These are the topics discussed in the 14th chapter. श्रीभगवानुवाच परं भूयः प्रवक्ष्यामि ज्ञानानां ज्ञानमुत्तमं यज्ञात्वा मुनयः सर्वे परां सिद्धिमितो गताः. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha said, Yat Jnatva, knowing which, Sarve Munayaha, all the sages, Itaha, going from this body, Param Siddhim, the ultimate success or release, Gataha, had reached, Tat, that, Jnana Nam, among all forms of knowledge, Uttamam, the most exalted, Param, the ultimate, Jnanam, knowledge, Bhuyaha, again, Pravakshyami, I will tell clearly. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Yat Jnatva, Sarve Munayah, Par Itah Param Siddhim Gataha, Tat Jnananam Uttamam Param Jnanam Bhuyaha Pravakshyami. Shri Bhagavan said, I will tell clearly again the ultimate, most exalted knowledge among all forms of knowledge, knowing or gaining which all the sages had reached the ultimate success or release from this body. Here Bhagavan says, I will teach you again, meaning that he will not only repeat but elaborate upon what he has already said. Even though the vision of reality was unfolded more than once in the previous chapters, he tells Arjuna that he is going to teach it again and thus draws his attention. This knowledge is the ultimate and most exalted. Among the various disciplines of knowledge, this is Uttama, the most exalted. Such a status is not just due to its sanctity. All knowledge is sacred because it is Bhagavan. Accordingly, we do not consider one discipline of knowledge superior to another. But Brahma Vidya is Uttama because its result is moksha, the most desirable and desired end for a human being. And it is the ultimate knowledge, Param Jnanam, because its subject is the limitless Brahman, Param Brahma. Among the various forms of knowledge, only this is Param. Everything else is Aparajnana. But we do not dismiss any Aparajnana because it is a prerequisite to Parajnana. Unless you have developed a degree of intellectual discipline and certain fundamental attitudes, it is not possible to gain the Parajnana. The religious practices also belong to the category of Aparajnana and they are highly beneficial in helping one prepare for Parajnana. And because Parajnana is knowledge of the truth of Ishvara, turning one's attention towards Ishvara and invoking the Lord's grace can only be helpful in this pursuit. Aparajnana is so named not only because its subject matter is not para, but also because it has no end. Chemistry, psychology, language, etc., can be explored endlessly without a final point of culmination. But that is not so with parajnana. It is the end in itself. It culminates in the knowledge of the tattva, the truth of everything. It is knowledge of the whole, and knowing it, nothing remains to be known in terms of realities. With these two words, para and uttama, Krishna praises this knowledge to create interest and enthusiasm in the listener. Arjuna is already listening to him, and now he is going to say again what he has been saying in the last 13 chapters. To ensure Arjuna's continued attention, Bhagavan praises this knowledge in this verse. A Muni is someone who has a capacity for thinking, that is, he is a Manana Shila. There have been a number of such discriminative people in India, like Vasishta, Vyasa, and so on, in each generation. All these great sages had gained the ultimate success, Param Siddhim Gataha. Siddhi here refers to moksha. The word moksha is derived from the root muk, which is used in the sense of release from bondage. Whenever it is used, we must look to see what is the bondage from which one is released. Shankara says they are released from the bondage of the body, which is due to ignorance, the desire that arises from that ignorance, and the karma that is done to fulfill the desire. That is, they are released from avidya, kama, and karma. Such a release is success, siddhi, and the accomplishment of it is final, para. Any other thing you gain is subject to loss. This is because if you gain something, you are different from it, and at some point or the other will be separated from it. Even the body will be lost at some point. Then, where is the question of retaining things that are connected to the body? From any end or place you reach, there is always a return or a going away. Moksha, however, is an end, gati, that does not come to an end because it is not gained or reached. It has always been an accomplished fact. So, moksha is what? Moksha is release from three things: avidya, kama, and karma. And apara vidya and para vidya. Apara vidya is all those related to non Brahma Vidya, which includes also all our spiritual practices, all the karma kanda, all the yoga, kriya that we're doing, all that comes under the apara vidya, whereas para vidya is direct Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of the self. In the next verse, he tells the completeness of this knowledge. Idam jnanamupashritya mama sadharmyamagataha sarge pinopajayante pralayena vyathanti cha. Idam jnanam, this knowledge, upashritya, resorting to, mama sadharmyam, oneness with me, ye agataha, those who have gained, they, sarge api, even when there is creation, na upajayante, do not come into being, pralayecha, and in the dissolution of creation, na vyathanti, do not perish. Idam jnanam upashritya, mama sadharmyam, e agataha, te sarge api, na upajayante, pralayecha na vyathanti cha. Na vyatanti. Resorting to this knowledge, those who have gained oneness with me do not come into being even when there is creation, and in the dissolution of creation, they do not perish. Shankara explains the phrase jnanam upashritya, that is, resorting to or pursuing this knowledge as jnana sadhanam anushtaya, that is, following the means for this knowledge, which is Shravana, listening to the Shastra, attended by Manana, analysis of the Shastra, and Nididhyasana, contemplation. Following these means, the sages gained this knowledge, the nature of which Bhagavan describes here as Mamasa Dharmyam. Mamasa Dharmyam Agataha means they have discovered that Atma is non-separate from Parameshwara. Here, Shankara makes a note that this is not the condition of having similar attributes. Samana dharmata. It is not, as some would interpret, that they get some of Bhagavan's overlordship Aishwarya. This is very significant that Shankara dismisses this view, even though Ramanuja, the major adherent to this view, came later. That means it must also have been a contention at the time of Shankara. Throughout the Gita, the identity of the Kshetrajna and Ishvara is being unfolded. Difference is not accepted at all. Therefore, sadharmya, cannot mean just similarity of virtues or attributes. It is the very nature, Swarupa of Bhagavan, which is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma. These munis understand that their own Swarupa is also Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma. Thus, they recognize their essential identity with Ishvara. The mention of the result here is for the sake of praising this knowledge. Let me know if I need to repeat any paragraph. So, the view of Ramanujacharya and probably some that were contemporaries with Shankara was that it is samana dharmata, which is of having similar attributes. That is, once you get moksha, you would get some of Bhagwan's overlordship, all the six attributes of Bhagwan, that overlordship, the total dispassion, total knowledge, all of that. So they would just get some of Bhagwan's overlordship and his attributes. That is the view of Ramanujacharya, whereas Shankara denounces that, saying it is sadharmya, which means actually they realize that they are the Swarupa of Bhagwan. So they understand, the Munis understand that their own Swarupa is also the Swarupa of Ishvara, which is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Further, he says that even at the time of creation, they do not come into being. Sarge api na upajayante. Even though a countless number of people have departed from this world, they remain in other places and after dissolution are born again in different forms. When the creation manifests, some jivas occupy the positions of even the presiding deities. For those who recognize their identity with Ishvara, however, even at the time of creation, they do not come into being. They remain as Brahman. There is no individual at all to assume any form. Naturally, then, at the time of dissolution, they are not destroyed. Pralaye na vyathanti. When the Mahapralaya takes place, even Brahmaji loses his position as the entire creation resolves into an unmanifest condition. These sages, however, do not get destroyed even in that Mahapralaya because they do not exist as individuals. They are Brahman. Why, one may ask, do we use the plural here? Are there many Atmas? From the standpoint of Atma, there is no plurality. All that is here is only one Atma. But when we talk about sages, we are referring to the Upadhi, in which this recognition of being Brahman took place for them. The forms for which there were the names Vasishta, Janaka, Vamadeva, etc. Because they do not come again in other forms, we continue to call them by these names and can even worship them as Parameshwara because that is what they are. When the unmanifest comes to manifest, everything that existed before Pralaya comes into being except these sages who gained moksha. They remain as the cause of the whole thing. When the creation is destroyed, they are not destroyed because the whole creation resolves into them. Therefore, once gained, there is no possibility of returning from or losing moksha because it does not take place. That is, it is not an event in time. If it is an experience, you can recover from it. Since it is jnana, it cannot be lost and its gain is only figurative. This one paragraph explains. I remember there was a question that Sumaji had asked about whether the experience we have in meditation is equivalent to us touching Atma or going to that space of Atma. But this very clearly explains that what we have in that deep meditation is only an experience because we come back from it and we are again back into the material world. Whereas the moment moksha is gained is again figurative. You don't actually gain it because it is already an established fact. What is removed is only the layer of ajnana. So when one attains moksha, there is no coming back. After praising the knowledge in the first two verses, he now begins the topic of this chapter, which is how the Prakriti gunas bind a person. First, he points out the cause for all these creations. Mama yo nirmahad brahma tasmin garbham dadhamyaham sambhava sarvabhutanam tato bhavati bharata. Mama yonihi, my cause, Mahat, primordial cause, Brahma, out of which everything grows and which sustains everything, Tasmin, in that, Aham Garbham Dadami, I impregnate, Tataha, from that, Sarva Bhutanam, of all beings, Sambhavaha, the coming into being, Bhavati, occurs, Bharata, O Arjuna. Mama yonihi Mahad Brahma तस्मिन् अहं गर्भं दधामि ततः सर्वभूतानां संभवः भवति भारत. My cause is the primordial cause out of which everything grows and which sustains everything. That I impregnate. From that occurs the coming into being of all beings, Arjuna. Evolution of the universe from Prakriti and Purusha. Here, Lord Krishna uses our language to reveal the coming into being of creation. For a child to be born, a mother and a father are required. Similarly, in the cause of this entire world, there is an intelligent cause and a material cause. We call the material cause Prakriti or Maya. As the child is born of the mother, similarly, Prakriti is the material out of which this creation is born. But the mother herself cannot produce a child without a father. So too, the Prakriti requires an efficient cause. As for a child, for this entire creation, two causes are necessary. Yoni is that out of which everything is born. Here it is Prakriti. When Bhagavan says Mama Yoni, he means my material cause, not in the sense of the cause of him, but as the cause belonging to him. That cause, Maya, is non separate from Parameshwara because Maya itself has no independent being. Prakriti is the cause of both the subtle and gross bodies of all the beings, and it is Mahad Brahma. Mahat is the primordial cause out of which everything has come. Brahma can have different meanings, and here it is not Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Etymologically, it can mean both that which is big and that which sustains. Therefore, here it refers to the Prakriti, the material cause which grows into the entire creation. The word Yoni is qualified by the two words Mahat and Brahma. The cause out of which everything has come is Mahat, and because of which everything grows and is sustained is Brahma. The word Yoni is used to mean the Prakriti, the material cause. It is itself Mahat, more pervasive than all its karyas, because it is the primordial cause out of which come all the karyas, and it is Brahma which sustains all the karyas. Here the words Mahat Brahma qualify the word Yoni.
Hariom Brahmaraji, could you please explain this footnote, please?
Yeah, I will just see if there's something else here. No. So here he says yoni here is that out of which everything is born. And here it is Prakriti. And he's also describing Prakriti as Mahad Brahma. So the Brahma here is not the Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, but it is that which sustains and the cause of creation. Brahma is the one that sustains creation, and the Mahat is the primordial cause out of which creation is born. So basically, Mahat Brahma is describing this yoni, which is nothing but Prakriti. So just as for a child to be born, you require both the father and the mother. The mother alone cannot produce the child, as in there is the requirement of that efficient cause and the material cause. So the efficient cause for the whole of creation is Brahma. Brahma is that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, whereas the material cause is Maya. And that Maya, Prakriti, is described as Mahat Brahma in this verse. So for us not to confuse this Brahma with the primordial, the efficient cause or the intelligent cause Brahma, Swamiji is describing this. So therefore, the word yoni is meant to, to mean Prakriti. It is itself Mahat because it is non-different from Parameshwara, right? So it is as pervasive as Parameshwara is. And because it is the primordial cause out of which all karyas, karya is the creation. So all of creation, it comes out of this Mahat, which is Prakriti, which is otherwise Maya. And it is Brahma, which sustains all the karyas. So here the words Mahat Brahma qualify the word Yoni. So the words here, Brahma can have different meanings, and here it is not. So, like Nana used to keep telling us, you cannot just take the word out of context and then analyze it. You will have to use these words in the context that they've been used. So sometimes Atma is meant as mind in some of the Bhagavad Gita verses. So when we look at it in that context given, so the words have their particular meaning. So the meanings of Brahma here, specifically this Mahat Brahma, it means that which sustains and not Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Yeah. Is that okay, Bela? Or
Yes, 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 Brahmaraji. The Swarupta and Swabhava. I mean, it is clear, very clear now. Dhanyavad.
so basically it is describing Prakriti only. See here, when you go back here, I'll just read this para again. Yoni is that out of which everything is born. Here it is Prakriti. When Bhagavan says Mama Yoni, he means my material cause, not in the sense of the cause of him, because he is the cause of causes. He is the primordial cause, ultimate cause, right? So he is that truth that we learned in Tattva Bodh. It is not the material cause, not in the sense of the cause of him, but as the cause belonging to him. That cause, Maya, is non-separate from Parameshwara because Maya itself has no independent being. Prakriti is the cause of both the subtle and gross bodies of all the beings. And it is Mahat Brahma. Mahat is the primordial cause out of which everything has come. Brahma can have different meanings, and here it is not Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Etymologically, it can mean both that which is big and that which sustains. Therefore, here it refers to the Prakriti, the material cause which grows into the entire creation. The word yoni is qualified by the two words Mahat and Brahma. The cause out of which everything has come is Mahat, and because of which everything grows and is sustained is Brahma. The word yoni is used to mean the prakriti, the material cause. It is itself Mahat, more pervasive than all its karyas, because it is the primordial cause out of which come all the karyas, and it is Brahma which sustains all the karyas. Here the words Mahat Brahma qualify the word Yoni. So, not for us to get confused, we have Parameshwara and we have Yoni. He says, Mamasa, Mama Yoni. Let me just go back to the stanza. Mama Mama Yonirmahad Brahma Tasmin Garbham Dadhamyaham Sambhava Sarvabhutanam Tato Bhavati Bharata. My cause is the primordial cause out of which everything grows and which sustains everything. That I impregnate. From that occurs the coming into being of all beings, Arjuna. So, this primordial cause, this yoni that he's talking of, is equivalent to Prakriti, is Mahat Brahma. And that is what he impregnates. This cause I impregnate. Aham Garbham Dadhami. Lord Krishna says, this impregnation he does by lending existence and consciousness to this Prakriti so that it has the capacity to create. Thereby, Maya becomes the cause of creation, Jagat Karana. It is important to understand how different this is from Sankhya philosophy, which proposes that Pradhana or Prakriti creates everything by itself. Here we say that Pradhana, based in or blessed by consciousness, creates. Being mithya, it depends entirely upon consciousness, Brahman, in the sense of Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. With reference to Maya, Brahman becomes Ishvara, the creator, and therefore he says, in this Maya I impregnate. Initially, something is necessary for the creation to begin, and this is expressed in other Shrutis also. Taittiriyopanishad says, he desired, so kamayata. Elsewhere, it says, it saw, tad aikshata. That is in the Chandogya Upanishad. That desiring or seeing is the impregnation. Once that occurs, Maya is capable of undergoing all the necessary changes to become this world. So the Sankhya philosophy believes that Prakriti creates everything by itself, whereas Prakriti or Pradhana is synonymous. But being Mithya, what Shankara says, the Advaita philosophy says, because Prakriti is Mithya, the whole creation is Mithya, the whole Jagat is Mithya, it depends upon entirely upon consciousness, which is Brahman, which is the Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. So, with reference to Maya, Brahman becomes Ishvara, the creator. So, Brahman, along with Maya, becomes Ishvara, the creator, and therefore he says, in this Maya, I impregnate. And because initially something is necessary for the creation to begin, that link between Brahman and Ishvara, Brahman and the creation, is that desire. Desire, as is expressed in the Shruti, Taittiriya Upanishad, it says, so kamayata. I desired, and then the world happened, the creation happened. Or it is It saw, tad aikshata. He just saw and then it happened. From that source is the creation or coming into being of all the beings and indeed the entire world. Tataha sambhavaha sarvabhutanam. All the various physical bodies, all the worlds arise from that alone. Therefore, the whole world is now in the form of nothing but the Prakriti, Parameshwara's Prakriti. Is it separate from Parameshwara? No. Parameshwara's power is the Maya Shakti, and therefore the entire creation becomes Parameshwara. It is Parameshwara from the standpoint of the material cause, Upadana Karana. When you worship a given form, the worship always goes to the intelligent cause, Nimitta Karana. But in order to invoke that Lord, you use the material cause, Upadana Karana, in a particular form, which has its own name. In this, the father is Parameshwara and the mother is Maya. If I think in chapter 4 he says, whoever you worship, the worship ultimately comes to me. No matter who you worship, it may be any of the other deities, but ultimately the whole worship comes to me. So when you worship a given form, the worship always goes to the intelligent form, the nimitta karana.
Yeah, in advanced course we do now, we praise somebody.
Mm. The praise goes to the creator, the Lord.
Yeah.
So therefore, see, look at the train of thought, the train, a whole thing of saying how tata sambhava sarva bhutana. From that source is the creation or coming into being of all the beings and indeed the entire world. All the various physical bodies, all the worlds arise from that alone. This itself gives us the uh, the the concept of the understanding that he is in and through creation. That not getting the Sanskrit thing. Sarvabhutani chatmani. Um, and I think Chatman has
Sarvabhuteshu.
Sarvabhuteshu Kante. No, it is um, the Sarvatma Bhava, that you belong to everything. You are there in and through creation. Therefore, the whole world is now in the form of nothing but the Prakriti, Parameshwara's Prakriti. Is it separate from Parameshwara? No. Parameshwara's power is the Maya Shakti, and therefore the entire creation becomes Parameshwara. It is Parameshwara from the standpoint of the material cause, Upadanakara. Sarvabhutastam Sarvabhutani Chatmani. Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma. I think Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. I think this was there in chapter 9, if I remember. So, how it is Sarvabhutastam Atmanam. So, every
It's in the chapter 6.
chapter 6 is it?
Sarvabhutastam atmanam sarvabhutani
Tani Chatmani.
chatmani iksate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's a 29, 629.
6 Thank you, Dr. Mara. So, this
You're welcome.
paragraph so beautifully brings out that aspect. How he is in and through creation, at the same time he is apart from it. He's only, but it is Parameshwara from the standpoint of the material cause. He's apart from it because ultimately it's only mithya. It is all just an illusion. As the nimitta karana, so all the worship, whether you any given form you worship, the worship always goes to the intelligent cause. And this impregnation is he gives the aspect of existence and consciousness to Maya. And therefore, Maya has the power to create, and the innumerable forms, the different changes, all that happens in creation happens. But the aspect of creation that is linked to Parameshwara is the existence, consciousness, bliss. So we remember those 5 things in creation: Asti, Bhati, Preeti, Nama, Rupa. So the
Yeah.
Asti, Bhati, Preeti aspect comes from Parameshwara. That is the impregnation. Nama, Rupa belong to the Prakriti and the whole of creation.
Mm. So this,
Can you, what is
go
Asti
ahead.
Bhati?
Asti, Bhati, Preeti. See, anything in
That's
creation
a Sat.
has 5 aspects.
Yeah, the us. No, what do you call that?
Asti is
Satchitananda,
existence.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Satchit
Yeah.
Ananda. Or,
Yeah.
go ahead, Dr. Mara.
No. That, remember that the other day, somebody, I don't remember who said that, Asti Bhatik, to remember always this Brahman in our mind, to so that you everything. I mean, I'm sorry, that when you let the Maya, all the Maya that is evident is with the Nama Rupa thing. This the not evident is this one, right? But that is the true. That's the truth. Asti Bhati. What is the other one? Priyam. So I think
Preeti. Asti, Bhati,
Preeti.
Preeti, Nama,
Preeti.
Rupa.
Nama.
Asti means isness, existence. Like if you keep on, if you take a pot, for instance, we say the pot is. When you break the pot, clay is. And when you further divide the clay into its constituents, atoms is, molecules is, atoms is, and then the protons, neutrons, whatever, you go on dividing it completely to its finest. That isness that remains, that is the asti, that is existence, that is the truth. And then asti, bhati is the uh, it 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 is similar to this chit, that knowledge principle. And then you have Preeti, which is bliss. So Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam or Anandam. Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam or Anantam is similar to Asti, Bhati, Preeti. These are the aspects of, of Brahma, of Parameshwara. Whereas the Nama Rupa are what keep changing. For
Okay,
anything in
thank you.
creation, Asti, Bhati, Preeti are similar. They run in through creation, and they are same in every aspect. The only thing which changes is the Nama and Rupa.
Yeah, and intelligent causes again Parameshwar. Right?
Parameshwara.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So in the next verse, he tells more of the father aspect of the creator. Sarvayonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavanti yaha tasam brahma mahadyonihi aham bija pradapita. Kaunteya, O Arjuna, Sarva Yonishu, in all wombs, Yaha Murtayaha, forms which Sambhavanti are born, Tasam, for them, Brahma Mahadyonihi, Brahma, Prakriti, is the original material cause. Aham, I am, Bija Pradah Pita, the father who gives the seed. Kaunteya, Sarva Yonishu, Yaha Murtayah Sambhavanti Tasam Brahma Mahadyonihi Aham Bijapradah Pita. O Arjuna, for those forms which are born in all wombs, Brahma, Prakriti, is the original material cause. I am the one who gives the seed, the father. The various wombs in which these forms are born include, Shankara says, the gods, the manes, human beings, domestic animals, and wild animals. The forms are the entire assembly of the bodies and are called Murtayaha because they have limbs which are subject to growth. Murchita Anga Avayavaha. For all these forms born in various wombs, the original cause, Mahadyoni, is Brahman, that which sustains everything and is the material cause for everything and therefore is called Mahat, the biggest. If one were to ask, then who are you? He says, I am the Father, the one who gives the seed. Aham bija pradah pita. He is the one who impregnates this Maya and makes it create everything. Maya itself has no real existence apart from the Atma, which lends existence and consciousness to it. And the Atma with Maya, that is Ishvara, has omniscience, sarvajnatva, and omnipotence, sarvashaktimatva. Whatever takes place to initiate the creation is called giving the seed, and the giver of the seed is Bija Prada. Extrapolating our knowledge of what is needed for someone to be born in the language that we know from our experience, the cause of creation is described here in the following manner. The father, the one who gives the seed, being Parameshvara, and the mother, the material cause, being Prakriti. The following verse is about the qualities of this material cause and how they bind. Sattvam rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha nibadnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. Mahabaho, O long-armed one, Arjuna, Sattvam, Rajas, Tamas, iti gunaha, the qualities Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, Prakriti Sambhavaha, the qualities existing in Prakriti, Dehe, in the body, Avyayam, the changeless, Dehinam, indweller of the body, Nibadnanti, bind. Mahabaho, Sattvam, Rajas, Tamas, iti gunaha, प्रकृति संभवाः देहे अव्ययम देहिनम निबध्नन्ति. O Arjuna, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, the qualities existing in Prakriti, bind the changeless indweller of the body to the body. The three gunas of Prakriti, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, are the three component qualities, gunas, of the material cause of creation, Prakriti. Guna is purely a technical name given by the Shastra for certain phenomena. They are not attributes as we know, like big, small, circular, green, etc., which can be perceived and are independent upon and qualify a substance. Here, the guna is not something different from Maya, the one who has the gunas. That means Maya is in the form of these three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. They are its very nature, Swarupa. By these three gunas mentioned in the Shastra, we are able to explain certain conditions we experience. They belong to or exist in the Prakriti. Prakriti Sambhavaha. Because they exist in the cause of creation, we find that their expressions manifest in the creation. An experience of sukha or the gaining of knowledge is an expression of sattvika prakriti, while desire and anger are rajasa prakriti. Dullness or delusion are tamasa prakriti. When Prakriti manifests as this creation, we find that these three are also manifest in the creation. I just thinking about how this, uh, I just want to share this thought that came to me. If Brahman is, if you can give colors to Brahma and Maya and Prakriti and the gunas, Brahman is that spotless white that is there. From white color come all the different colors, the Vibgaya, right? But for us, for our understanding of Maya and Prakriti, let's imagine that there are three gunas, there are three different colors coming up, three primary colors that come up from the color white. And therefore they are, each one, the three colors represent sattva, rajas, tamas, and therefore they form their tapestry. The whole creation is a manifestation of these three gunas in various um, intensities, various, yeah, should call it intensity probably. So when sattva is predominant, you experience sukha, knowledge and bliss. Sukha is happiness, and you're in the space of knowledge. Whereas when you are engulfed by desire or anger or a lot of activity, then it is the rajas that is predominant. And then if there is inertia, there is lethargy, laziness, then it is the tamasic aspect. So it depends on how intense each of these colors are, but they are in and through creation.
Gurudev, Gurudev gives the example of prism.
Mm. So this whole universe is nothing but a play and display of consciousness in its multifarious uh, forms. Each of that ultimately has all these three gunas, no matter what you take in creation. And they are nothing but Maya. They are not different from Maya. That is why he calls it certain phenomena. Swamiji very clearly says, Guna is purely a technical name given by the Shastra for certain phenomena. They are not attributes, as we know, like big, small, circular, etc. So they cannot be perceived and are dependent upon qualifier substance. So unlike those, these are just phenomena here, because guna is not different from Maya. Maya itself is a phenomena. Maya itself is mithya. So therefore, all the gunas are also mithya. And we need to cross over this in order to become gunatita. We need to go beyond the sattva, rajas, tamas gunas. Bhagavan says they bind, nibadnanti, and Shankara is careful to note that they seemingly bind, nibadnanti iva. If they really bind, how is it possible to get released? Later in this chapter, Bhagavan is going to show that you are released from all these gunas by simply knowing that you are free from gunas, nirguna.
Actually, we have all these three gunas, no? Every day it is changing. When we are in Sattvic Vatavaran, Sattva is there. When we are in a company of good people, then Sattva increases. Then Tamas also like that. So we catch hold of the gunas from others also. But basically, they are changing in our nature also. Is it? Is it correct, Brahmaraji?
Yes. Yeah. So Bhagwan is going to show that you are released from all these gunas simply by knowing that you are free from gunas, nirguna. We have to be very careful whenever we introduce new words of categorization, or we will create new problems for ourselves. Someone who was complaining that he was dull will now say that he is tamasika and develop a complex. If you say you are dull, at least we can understand that and do something about it. If you take a cup of coffee, you may become more alert. But if you say you are tamasika, the problem is compounded and much more difficult to solve. We already have a tendency to categorize and label people, and now we are armed with three more words, either to dub ourselves or another person. All we are meant to understand here is that everybody is a mixture of sattva, rajas, and tamas, which account for the various changes we see in our minds. Very important paragraph. We don't label and judge ourselves. We understand that each one of us is made of these three qualities, and we are a mixture, and what is predominant shows up in our behavior. Otherwise, we'll start labeling ourselves. If I remember, Gurudev had mentioned in Ashtavakra Gita, when you label yourself and you say, "Oh, I am not fit. I'm always like this," you are actually tearing down your own application. So come from the space of understanding that these three gunas are part of everybody's nature, my nature as well. My behavior is governed by these three qualities. I am not them. So that should be the understanding.
Without tamas, you cannot sleep. Gurudev says no. So
Yeah,
everything will be in some proportion.
yeah. So we apply this not just to ourselves, but also to others, which is what I remember Swami Vivekananda's quote saying, how can you judge anybody else? Each one is the behavior depends upon the play of the three gunas in them. And I think in chapter 12 or 13 we learned it's the background from which every person comes. So when we accept that, when we understand that each person has a background from which he or she comes from and therefore behaves in that way, how can we judge? How can we sit in the seat of judgment and say, uh, you know, this person is this? And we tend to label them, not understanding that this is very, very fluid. Our mind,
Brahmaraji, did not hear the evolution process. Purusha, Prakriti's three gunas, and then the gross elements and everything is dancing on that three gunas.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And it is so fluid, it keeps changing moment to moment. And then, but we fixate ourselves. Oh, this person is like this person is rajasic, or this person is tamasic. Maybe at that point, at that moment, he was, or she was, or she is at that point. But it doesn't eternalize it. We tend to eternalize things for ourselves and for others, and therefore make ourselves miserable. So here, Swamiji says we have to be very careful whenever we introduce new words of categorization, or we will create new problems for ourselves. Someone who was complaining that he was dull will now say that he is tamasika and develop a complex. If you say you are dull, at least we can understand that and do something about it. If you take a cup of coffee, you may become more alert. But if you say you are tamasika, the problem is compounded and much more difficult to solve. We already have a tendency to categorize and label people, and now we are armed with three more words, either to dub ourselves or another person. All we are meant to understand here is that everybody is a mixture of sattva, rajas, and tamas, which account for the various changes we see in our minds. These gunas bind the dehi. So, whenever we are getting into this labeling aspect, let's remind ourselves to refrain from labeling. It is just that at that point you are dull. You do not become a tamasika. You don't become a tamas person just because you are dull at that moment. These gunas bind the dehi. Where do they bind? In the body. Dehe, whom the one who indwells the body. Dehinam, who does not undergo any change. Avyayam. These gunas seemingly bind the one that does not die, who is always in the same form. Why seemingly? Because the bondage is only due to ignorance. The entire Prakriti is mithya, and therefore, from the standpoint of Atma, there is no Prakriti at all, and its gunas only seemingly bind nibadnanti iva. Further, when the existence of these three gunas depends upon Atma, how can they at the same time bind Atma? Only when the person does not know that these are the gunas, the expressions of Prakriti, do they bind him. They do not belong to him. Without the discriminative knowledge of the Kshetra and Kshetrajna, these gunas do bind, and with that knowledge, they do not. Let me know if you need me to repeat anything. Shankara explains the word Mahabaho that Krishna uses to address Arjuna here. He gives two meanings, the one who has long hands or the one who has capable hands. Arjuna was an archer of very great skill and thus a Mahabahu. Also, when he let his arms hang by his sides, his hands extended up to the knees. This is an indication that he is a person of special abilities in warfare, etc. When this Atma does not undergo any change, because, as was shown in the 13th chapter, it is beginningless and without attributes. Anaditvat, anaditvat, nirgunatvat. How can anything bind it? In fact, nothing can. But because of avidya, what is not possible becomes possible. The infinite and eternal Atma apparently becomes finite and time-bound. The Atma that is free from gunas seems to be bound by them all. This is because of avidya. Avidya, Maya, can accomplish what is impossible. In the work called Maya Panchakam, the refrain is Aghatita Ghatana Patiyasi Maya. Maya is capable of making what cannot be made. Therefore, all these gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, seem to bind the person who indwells this body. Dehinam nibadnanti. Aghatita ghatana patiyasi maya. Maya is capable of making what cannot be made. So this Atma, which is infinite, which is beginningless and without attributes, anaditvat nirgunatvat, seemingly gets bound in the dehi, in the body, in the dehe, by this Maya. Dehinam nibadnanti. One by one, he now defines each of the gunas. Though these are all gunas, among them there is difference as there is among gems. Every gem is a precious stone, but there is a difference between a sapphire and an emerald. As we proceed, there is going to be a lot of discussion on these gunas here and in subsequent chapters. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are words introduced by the Shastra and therefore have to be defined by that same Shastra. In the next verse, Sattva is defined. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakamanayam sukha sangena badnati jnana sangena chanagha. Anagha, O sinless one, Arjuna, tatra, there, among these, sattvam, sattva, nirmalatvat, because it is pure, prakashakam, illuminating, anamayam, is without affliction, sukha sangena, by connection to pleasure, jnana sangena cha, and connection to knowledge, badnati, binds. Anagha, tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena jnana sangena cha badnati. O sinless one, Arjuna, there among these, sattva, which is illuminating and without affliction, because it is pure, binds by connection to pleasure and connection to knowledge. I know this is where we stopped yesterday, I suppose, but it's time for Manana, so maybe we'll break for Manana here. I will just go through the verses that we covered. We can all close our eyes and then do Manana on this. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Param Bhuya Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajñatva Munaya Sarve Param Siddhimito Gataha. Shri Bhagavan said, I will tell clearly again the ultimate, most exalted knowledge among all forms of knowledge, knowing which all the sages had reached the ultimate success from this body. Ultimate success, that is release from this body. Here the Paravidya, Paravidya. Idam jnanamupashritya mama sadharmyamagataha sarge pinopajayante pralayena vyathanti cha. Resorting to this knowledge, those who have gained oneness with me do not come into being even when there is creation, and in the dissolution of creation, they do not perish. So the difference between Sankhya understanding and Advaita understanding here. Mama yonirmahad brahma tasmin garbham dadhamyaham sambhava sarvabhutanam tato bhavati bharata. My cause is the primordial cause out of which everything grows and which sustains everything. That I impregnate. From that occurs the coming into being of all beings, Arjuna. Sarvayonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavanti yaha tasam brahma mahadyonihi aham bija pradapita. O Arjuna, for those forms which are born in all wombs, Brahma, Prakriti, is the original material cause. I am the one who gives the seed, the father. Sattvam rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha nibadnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. O Arjuna, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, the qualities existing in Prakriti, bind the changeless indweller of the body to the body. So let's close our eyes and reflect on all that we have listened to and understood. And let's come and share our takeaways. Check Hriday. So Bhagavan says, continuing from chapter 13, he says he will give Arjuna the highest knowledge. And there's a lot of repetition throughout all the chapters of the Gita. He's talking of just that one Atma Vidya, Brahma Vidya. He says, I will give you the highest knowledge, knowing which there is no return. Unlike Apara Vidya, which is knowledge of everything else in the world, which also includes Yoga Shastra, which includes all the spiritual practices, that all that comes under Apara Vidya. Although that is required for us, that spiritual practice is required for us to develop that mental discipline in order to gain Brahma Vidya, which is Parajnana. It is called Para because knowing which there is nothing else to be known. It is an end in itself. It is complete and it has an end. Whereas Aparajnana is endless. For instance, Swamiji mentioned about chemistry, psychology. There is something more to learn, something more to understand. So there is never an end to it. That is why it is called Apara Vidya. Whereas Parajnana is once you attain moksha, which is actually figurative because moksha is already an established fact, you have the release. The release is from three things. One is avidya, kama, and karma. From avidya is kama is born, and from kama is you do action. Karma is born. So you get a release from all these three.
Kama, karma, and third is what?
Avidya. Avidya is the beginning, is the basis for kama and karma. So all these three, if you remember that Hridaya Granthi that we learned, I think in chapter 11 or 12, Jiva and Atma are bound, Jiva and Brahma are bound by Avidya. And from Avidya, that is the Prathama Granthi, the primordial knot. From there, Kama arises. From Avidya, Kama arises. And from there, Karma starts. And then how creation happens. How for a child to be born, you require the father and the mother. Similarly, we have Prakriti as the mother, she also described here as Mahad Brahma, Yoni. All these are synonyms for Prakriti, Avidya. All of them come under Prakriti. So from and Purusha or Brahma or Atma, Parameshwara, impregnates this Yoni. And what is that impregnation? Is that just that having that desire, so kamayata, or he just saw and that happened.
Mahat Brahma is not Prakriti. Mahat Brahma is the one that
sustains, that allows Prakriti to create, isn't it?
In the explanation given, he says Mahad Brahma actually qualifies this yoni, describes the yoni, and yoni is Prakriti.
Yeah.
Correct. So Mahad Brahma in this context is nothing but Prakriti. And Parameshwara is the cause of the causes. So he is the one who is that Bija Prada, the one who impregnates. If you go back to that part,
Because
is why
Prakriti is not independent.
yeah,
Prakriti is not
Prakriti.
independent.
See, third verse, no?
Yeah, this is where it is. See,
Mm.
there are two causes: evolution of the universe from Prakriti and Purusha. So he uses our knowledge. Here, Lord Krishna uses our language to reveal the coming into being of creation. For a child to be born, a mother and father are required. Similarly, in the cause of this entire world, there is an intelligent cause and a material cause. We call the material cause Prakriti or Maya. As the child is born of the mother, similarly, Prakriti is the material is the material out of which this creation is born. But the mother herself cannot produce a child without a father. So too, Prakriti requires an efficient cause. As for a child, for this entire creation, two causes are necessary. Yoni is that out of which everything is born. Here it is Prakriti, right? So Prakriti is Yoni. When Bhagavan says Mama Yoni, he means my material cause, not in the sense of the cause of him, but as the cause belonging to him. That cause Maya is non-separate from Parameshwara, because Maya itself has no independent being. Prakriti is the cause of both the subtle and gross bodies of all the beings, and it is Mahat Brahma. So you see the train of thought here: Yoni, Prakriti, Mahat Brahma, they're all synonyms. Mahat is the primordial cause out of which everything has come.
Please
Brahma
read
can have,
this again when
yeah,
that the cause Maya is non-separate from Parameshwara, because
correct,
Maya itself has no independent existence. Okay, then read
isn't it?
from there.
Because Maya is Parameshwara's creative aspect, creative power.
Yeah.
So that cause, Maya, is non-separate from Parameshwara because Maya itself has no independent being. Prakriti is the cause of both the subtle and gross bodies of all the beings. This we learned, Tattva Bodh we know. Subtle and gross bodies, Prakriti comes. It is Mahat Brahma. Mahat is the primordial cause out of which everything has come. Brahma can have different meanings, and here it is not Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. The Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is Parameshwara here in this context. Etymologically.
In this particular one, the Brahman is that Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. When Brahman gives this power to Maya, that becomes Ishvara. So Maya with Brahman, that power is called Ishvara. That's again the Parameshwara here, you can take it either way, but then what we need to remember is that Parameshwara is the Ishvara is the one also creates and sustain and destroy and all that function also is there for that Brahma, or you can call it here they say Magat Brahma, but or Ishvara looks like it.
Prakriti is
I
known
mean,
Mahat Brahma because from the Mahat means the Purusha, the Prakriti because of the three gunas came.
yeah, that's a Maya. That's Maya has the three gunas. That's where that three gunas. When you're talking about Ishvara as who is giving that father and mother concept, where that father gives that seed, Bija Prada, that becomes that Ishvara, or that Dar we call this Parameshwara here, because Brahman by himself, no action. So that's what we need to remember all the time. So he's giving that power to this person. That's how I understood. But then again, I wanted to when you say Parameshwara here, it means that Maya plus that Brahman is called Ishvara.
which is true.
Correct.
Here
Parameshwara. Parameshwara.
we should not get confused between the Brahma that uh, that Brahmashraya Maya that we learned in Tattva Bodh. The Brahma that is used here in this context is to describe Maya, is to describe the Yoni. This Mahat Brahma is synonymous with Prakriti, synonymous with Yoni, which is the primordial cause of creation, yes. But the cause of this primordial cause is Parameshwara, which is the efficient cause. This primordial cause is the Upadana Karana or the material cause, whereas the efficient cause is Parameshwara.
And he's
Correct.
the same Brahma in Bhagavatam where we have read about he produces the rishis and what.
Yeah,
See, Brahman and Brahma. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwala Brahma is the creator, and Brahman is all pervading,
correct.
ultimate Parameshwara.
So this
So,
Brahma creator has come from the navel of Mahavishnu. So
Correct.
and
Correct.
that is the Atma, which is existence and consciousness.
correct.
And that impregnates. So this creator Brahma has come from Mahavishnu, the seed-giving father. This is my understanding.
Correct.
And this Brahma, that is the creator Brahma and Maya, which provides the womb and all the three gunas, they create all the forms. So
Correct.
Atma is abiding in whatever the Prakriti delivers. And for the intelligent cause, see in that um, Guru Puja, we say that no, the uh, creation happens with the creative impulse and the intelligence. So this Atma is has a blueprint, and that is the intelligence, and the energy for that blueprint to come into form is provided by the Trigunas, Trigunatmik Maya. This is my understanding. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
I don't know whether the Brahma that is being talked of here, this Mahat Brahma, because this Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara are again gods. They're the trinities.
Yeah,
I think we should
in
not
one
confuse the
paragraph,
Puranas with the Shastra here.
yeah,
We should let
Correct.
Puranas be Puranas. Otherwise, there will be a little confusion in our understanding. This Brahma
in one
creates.
of the, sorry, Dr. Brahma, there is
No
one
problem. Yeah, go
paragraph
ahead.
that you read, that the creation, it created gods and all the beings, animals,
Correct.
human, all that.
Correct.
So
Exactly.
even
So in that,
gods are
the Brahma,
created.
Vishnu, Mahesh comes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's what I'm saying. Like, so you're
Mm,
that's why even gods are not
mm,
realized people. So
mm.
there is some that's why the humans are given so much this importance, that
Important.
this form is so precious, that you undertake this knowledge, and
Yeah. Even
you
gods also have to take the human form to
right.
get liberated.
Yeah, I mean, some things like that we read somewhere, but even in this one of the paragraph that you read, it did say that that
Gods
four
are
forms,
created. Mm,
yeah, the gods are created as well.
mm.
So you know
Here
that
we are going towards more and more subtler and ultimate this thing we are moving towards.
right. So the thing is, what we need to understand, that Tattva Bodh is so much important. We are kind of revising it, like as we are reading here. all these animals, like if you go in deeply, some of these things, here it says garba, right, that the yoni is, it provided the womb, so then in the creation, there is one part is reproduced through the this womb, but there are other animals or the things, other beings are produced from the egg, and then something from the something else like that. There are several different types of creation were done in terms of the evolution of the universe. So I just wanted to, but all of them containing these elements, 5 elements, and these gunas. So that's why the stone is considered as tamasic nature or something like that. It doesn't move jadam like that. But anyway, so
So,
my only thinking is that we don't want to confuse the Brahman with this
mm,
Brahma,
And
because there are so many different meanings it's
mm,
given here. Parameshwara is the only one that we have to remember, that Maya plus Brahman is Ishvara, and the
mm.
Ishvara minus Maya is Brahman. We have to remember like that. That'd be
Yeah,
nice.
very good.
yes,
I think that is very clear. So I think we should leave Puranas. I know we have, see, we are exposed to Shastra now, and we also have the backdrop of the Puranas. So there will be in the mind, there may be some confusion coming up as Brahma, the creator, and like you pointed out, Sumaji, the Brahma that comes out of Vishnu's navel, all that is only symbolic and representative. From our
correct,
understanding, we should come from the space that Maya, which is the creative instinct, the primordial cause, the material cause, is also creating all these gods, all the gods, that all the deities. They're all, they all come after Maya. So it is not that
correct.
Brahma creates Maya. It is not Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the sustainer. They're all again symbolic for us to understand. So this, it is Brahma, Brahmashraya Maya, Sattva Rajas Tamo Gunatmika Maya. From there come all the Pancha Mahabhutas, all the gods, all of that comes after Maya. So it is like Maya is the reflection or the shadow of Parameshwara. There is only Parameshwara. Ultimately, there is only one. All this display, play of consciousness is the whole world of creation, seen and unseen.
Pandora. Yeah. We are winding up the Pandora now and going towards the
Yeah.
source, the absolute.
Going to that
So
is
now
Brahma Vidya.
Puranas also now keep it aside. Enough of Puranas for so many lifetimes. Now go to the source, the absolute. More and more.
Puranas
Thank
are
you.
required for getting that spiritual discipline. Puranas come under the Aparajnana, isn't it? If I can classify them, all
Correct,
those
correct. Para and apara,
absolute truth, Apara and
Yeah.
Parajnana. So that distinction, if we are clear, if you remember in chapter 13, there was one verse that talked about different ways, means to reach this, to recognize and get moksha. One was people who just listen because they have enough exposure to the knowledge and practice. They just by listening through Shravana itself, they get moksha. Others have to do Nididhyasana. Others who, the Shruti Parayanas, who do not have the eligibility for getting exposed to this knowledge, they will follow the words of their masters by doing all the different practices, yoga, whatever, mantra chanting, all of that. They are the Shruti Parayanas, they're committed. They, that is also important because at their level, they require that in order to evolve, get enough mental discipline for them. And once it is right, the teacher himself will expose them to this knowledge. So this aparajnana, parajnana, that is a very beautiful takeaway from today's thing. So that when we are clear in our mind inside, what are we, aiming at? what is our ultimate goal, then our
Wind up the
understanding,
Purana, you know.
we
No?
may be exposed to the Puranas, no doubt, because in our day-to-day dealings, when we're even when with Guruji, sometimes when some people ask questions, he does refer to Puranas. So this, with this understanding, this para apara jnana, with this understanding, we'll be better able to understand what is being given to us in different forms. No, isn't it? Oh, I think we've overshot time today quite a bit. So, Sumaji, I think it's clear now, no? Mahat Brahma, Yoni, Prakriti, Maya, they all mean the same in this particular paragraph. In this
Okay,
particular.
thank you for that clarity.
And then I impregnate, aham garbham dadhami. That is the Parameshwara impregnating it. How he just gets that desire. Taittiriya Upanishad says, so kamayata. And tatas
Oh.
sambhava sarva bhutana. Right? So shall we close here? And Sumaji, can I request you to play the Brahmajnanavali Mala after we do the Shanti part, and then you can play that. We'll wind up there. Okay?
Excuse me, Jai Gurudev.
Yes.
One of the days, Brahmaraji, please explain this Prajnan and Vijnan difference that it comes in Brahmajnana Mala. Prajnanam, Vijnanam, two different words are there.
Okay, even I don't know the difference. Yeah, I will check with Nana, and then maybe we can have a discussion on that.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Yeah. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
असङ्गोऽहं पुनः पुनः सच्चिदानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः नित्यशुद्धविमुक्तोऽहम् निराकारोऽहमव्ययः भूमानन्दस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः नित्योऽहं निरवध्योऽहम् निराकारोऽहमच्युतः परमानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः शुद्धचैतन्यरूपोऽहम् आत्मा रामोऽहमेव च अखण्डानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवा प्रत्यक्चैतन्यरूपोऽहम् शान्तोऽहम् प्रकृतेः परः शाश्वतानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः तत्त्वातीतपरात्माहम् मध्यातीतः परशिवः मायातीतपरञ्ज्योतिः अहमेवाहमव्ययः नानारूपव्यतीतोऽहम् चिदाकारोऽहमच्युतः सुखरूपस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः माया तत्कार्यदेहादि मम नास्त्येव सर्वदा स्वप्रकाशैकरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः गुणत्रयव्यतीतोऽहम् ब्रह्मादीनां च साक्ष्यहम् अनन्तानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः अन्तर्ज्योतिस्वरूपोऽहम् कूटस्थः सर्वगोऽस्म्यहम् सर्वसाक्षिस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः द्वन्द्वादिसाक्षिरूपोऽहम् अचलोऽहं सनातनः सर्वसाक्षिस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः प्रज्ञानघन एवाहम् विज्ञानघन एव च अकर्ताहम् अभोक्ताहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः निराधारस्वरूपोऽहम् सर्वाधारोऽहमेव च आप्तकामस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः तापत्रयविनिर्मुक्तः देहत्रयविलक्षणः अवस्थात्रयसाक्ष्यस्मि अहमेवाहमव्ययः दृग्दृश्यौ द्वौ पदार्थौ स्तः परस्परविलक्षणौ दृग्ब्रह्मदृश्यं मायेति सर्ववेदान्तडिण्डिमः अहं साक्षीति यो विद्यात् विविच्यैवं पुनः पुनः स एव मुक्तः स विद्वान् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः घटकुड्यादिकं सर्वं मृत्तिकामात्रमेव च तद्वद्ब्रह्म जगत्सर्वम् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः ब्रह्म सत्यं जगन्मिथ्या जीवो ब्रह्मैव नापरः अनेन वेद्यं सच्छास्त्रम् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः अन्तर्ज्योति बहिर्ज्योतिः प्रत्यग्ज्योतिः परात्परः ज्योतिज्योति स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिशिवोऽस्म्यहम् ज्योतिज्योति स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिशिवोऽस्म्यहम्